Most companies have no idea how low status their brand looks online. But trust me when I say that your prospective clients and customers clock it instantly. A brand identity straight out of the Bush administration, zero receipts, generic we do everything copy, and borderline sleazy sales tactics that quite honestly have a 95% failure rate on a good day. If your brand was a person, it'd be the typical American guy we see walking down the streets. Unshaven, in sweatpants, out of shape, AirPods in, drifting aimlessly down the sidewalk. Clients make snap judgments. First impressions matter, and they can smell a low status brand from a mile away. So on today's video, I'm gonna break down 6 common branding mistakes I see companies regularly making online that is getting them disqualified as soon as they say hello. Let's get into it. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent full stack marketing strategist working with my clients on brand strategy engagements, web design and development projects, and ongoing marketing retainers. All right, we have to get this one out of the way, yet you would be surprised still how often I see this. I estimate that probably 40 to 50% of businesses are guilty of this branding mistake that quite frankly is going to shoot yourself in the foot as soon as you say hello. And that is gonna be having both an outdated brand identity from a visual design perspective. So think your logo, but also your colors and fonts, as well as having an overall outdated website that at best looks like a generic WordPress template that is very cookie cutter that you quickly slap together, and at worst looks like a website that literally hasn't been touched for 15 to 20 years that has clients and customers questioning whether or not your company is still in business. People are spending 7, 8, 9, 10 hours online literally their whole life. They are spending more time looking at a screen rather than the real natural world. And that just goes to illustrate how important it is that your company's website be absolutely 100% dialed in. Quite frankly, deep down, if you take a look at your website, you're gonna know if it needs a revamp or not. You'd be shocked how many companies have just completely neglected their website and it's costing them leads and sales every single day. Next, we need to talk about a sales tactic that is all too common and quite honestly is not just ineffective from a sales perspective, but it's damaging your online reputation and your brand identity as a whole. Your digital footprint follows both you and your company around forever. Everything you send has receipts online. So that's why I am advising you to ditch the cold outreach, spray and pray email outreach. If you're an entrepreneur or a marketing director, I'm sure your email inbox is regularly flooded with spam emails that are pitching you on nonsense and are just so poorly written, clearly just AI slop, which we'll be talking about in a second. And honestly, on a good day, like I said, has a 95% failure rate. I see this issue a lot more on LinkedIn where people will just spray and pray the DMs, which is just a nightmare, quite frankly. I am not a fan of the cold outreach, whether it be on email or LinkedIn. There is a way to do it, but you need to do it in a very manual, personalized, and quite frankly, unscalable way. I'm not saying it can't work. I just think there's so many more effective uses of your time from a marketing and sales strategy that I have a very hard time recommending this tactic. All right, so you knew it was coming. We have to talk about it. It is going to be the idea of embracing the AI slop trend and using that to automate all of your content marketing efforts. But quite honestly, I think this is probably even worse than producing no content at all. Because if you're using a generic ChatGPT chat to write up your LinkedIn post, for example, which I've had people brag to me about at networking events that they're doing, you're not fooling anyone. There are so many giveaways for the person who knows what to look for if something is written by AI still. And honestly, it's just generic low value content. And this is going to be more and more prevalent, I believe, with the rise of the AI generated videos, whether it be Sora by OpenAI or some of the other video models we see, because still it's clear that it's not a real person. And I think it just does so much damage to your brand because number one, the content is not unique or original, or there's no unique perspective to share. It's all just regurgitated, aggregated internet opinions that is just not providing any new, unique value. From a psychological branding perspective, if viewers on the other end can't trust that your company's video is real people providing real value, then how in the world are they ever going to trust your brand? If it's clearly AI generated, then that is just going to cheapen your brand, make you look low confidence and low status. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the reason we create content is to build an audience of people who know, like, and trust you. And they can't get to know you if it's just an AI generated video. They can't get to trust you, certainly, and they certainly won't like you. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we need to talk about companies that still are not producing any content online. And quite honestly, the reason why this is a branding mistake is that if you're not creating content online, either a video like this or a podcast, you have no way to get found online. That's obviously a branding mistake if no one even knows your company exists. But two, let's say a prospective client or customer is able to find your website not through some sort of organic content marketing medium. Even if they like what they see from a professionalism perspective, they want to see that you actually have content resources that are going to educate them if they have any questions or pain points they're looking to solve. Just the fact that you are producing content and establishing your company as a thought leader that provides value is automatically putting points on the scoreboard, so to speak, and you're automatically going to look a lot more trustworthy. You're going to be able to establish your expertise much easier just by having people being able to go to some sort of resources page, scroll around, and see that you've clearly been producing content for a long period of time. You can't sleep on the content creation efforts anymore. It's essential for a modern marketing strategy to get found online. It does so much from a branding perspective to establish your authority and expertise, which is ultimately necessary if you're going to be closing high-ticket sales opportunities. Fifth thing I want to talk about here is probably what I see on a majority of websites, quite frankly, and that is going to be very generic people pleaser type copy that promises to do all things for everyone and just has no point of view, no story behind it, and is just trying to be very unoffensive. I believe this is more relevant today now that so many people are using AI to write a copy on their website. I use AI for my client copywriting as well, but that is informed by so many different branding resources we've developed, like client avatars, brand story guidelines, etc. And it's because of those resources and a lot of custom specific prompt engineering that we're actually able to get very unique copy written. But 95% of marketers are not doing anything remotely like that. They're simply opening up a blank AI chat window and spitting out random copy. At the end of the day, it is important to realize that just like an individual, your company needs to have some personality. You can't be afraid to offend a certain segment, not purposely offend, but you can't be afraid to have a clear perspective and say this is exactly what you stand for and show some personality. Ultimately, if your brand stands for everything, then it stands for nothing. The sixth and final item we need to talk about here is the fact that your website has zero receipts in the form of client case studies or portfolio content. So this is something I see on so many business websites where they talk about how great their services is, but they don't have any testimonials and social proof to back it up. You can have a beautiful brand identity that's uniquely positioned in the market. You could have an excellent website, but if you don't have client case studies to back it up, people are just not going to be able to trust the claims your brand makes. You must back them up with social proof. All right, everyone. So those are the top 6 branding mistakes I'm seeing companies regularly make online. So if what I said resonated with you today and you recognize that your company is guilty of many of the things I discussed and you're willing to make a change and invest in your brand, then I recommend that you schedule a complimentary consultation with myself. Check out the link in the description to book a strategy call. There's an interactive 5-step video form. Takes only a few minutes to fill out, and if you're qualified, you'll be able to book a meeting directly with me, where I'll help you outline a branding, website, and digital marketing roadmap so you have clarity on how to actually grow your company online. Link in the description, check it out. Otherwise, thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions, drop a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching. Bye.